Ladies and gentlemen, the Commanding General of the 10th Mountain Division Light Infantry in Fort Drum, Major General Stephen J. Townsend.
Good afternoon, climb to glory. Our mountaineers from Louisiana and our comrades from North Carolina may think I'm crazy, but I think it's a beautiful day, North Country Day, to have a welcome home ceremony, don't you? Governor Cuomo, thanks for joining us today, and thank you for New York's support of the North Country, Fort Drum, our soldiers, and our family members. To the Secretary of the Army, the Honorable John McHugh, thanks for giving this trip a second chance. 11 months ago, we invited him up here. The weather was so bad that even the Secretary of the Army couldn't get Mother Nature to let him come. Mr. Secretary, we're glad you made it through today. Welcome home. General Mark Milley, Command Sergeant Major Scott Schroeder. They've both traveled from Forces Command at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Welcome to you both. General Milley, welcome home. It's incredible to me that it has been 2 full years since you passed the division's colors to me on this very spot right here. To Congresswoman-elect Stefanik and all our other civilian leaders like Mr. Hessey, Senator Ritchie, Tony Keating, Addie Russell, Ken Blankenbush, Bob Hageman, Mayor Graham, and all our other stalwart North Country supporters, thanks for always being here with us through snow, dark, ice, to share our love of nation. And to everyone else here, and more importantly, to the soldiers standing in ranks and their friends and family members here, to show support as we welcome home this great division. I would note that today marks our very first division formation since 2004, without the Spartans of the 3rd Brigade represented. They inactivated in October after their 4th deployment in 10 years to Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, the mule skinners of our 10th Sustainment Brigade and our 10th Mountain Division headquarters have just returned from Afghanistan. For the headquarters, it was our 6th combat deployment in this war and the 5th to Afghanistan. But today is not all about the mule skinners or the division headquarters. It is about Team Drum. Over the last 18 months, every brigade of this division has deployed to Afghanistan. Today we're welcoming home all of them, as well as reuniting the division for the first time in a long time. But Team Drum also includes the 20th Air Support Operations Squadron, the U.S. Army Garrison, the Drum Medical Activity, and the Drum Dental Activity, as well as other great soldiers and civilians who support this installation and our units. The families and friends who keep our home fires burning as well. And the community members who continue to support Fort Drum. Thanks to each and every one of you. It took every one of us performing our duty to accomplish what the nation and the Army has asked us to do. Please join me in showing appreciation to all the members of 10th Mountain Division and Team Drum who've answered our nation's call and will continue to do so in the future. While all of our brigades are at home, we still have almost 3 soldiers that remain deployed overseas, most of them still in harm's way in Afghanistan. The remainder of the division headquarters are airborne right about now, making their way from Afghanistan to Europe and on their way back here. All but a handful should be back before Christmas. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers this holiday season. Today we're honored to have 2 great Americans with us as guest speakers. Governor Andrew Cuomo, the 56th governor of the state of New York, and the Honorable John McHugh, the 21st Secretary of the Army. Neither of these men require much introduction to this audience. Governor Cuomo has been a long-time and committed public servant. In the mid-'80s, he led efforts to provide housing and support services to the homeless. He served as Assistant Secretary and later Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in the Clinton administration. He served as the Attorney General of New York before assuming office as the 56th governor in 2011. He's been a staunch supporter and a partner of Fort Drum, and a few months ago, he even visited us in Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first guest speaker, 56th and current governor of the state of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you all very much, and good afternoon to all of you. It's my pleasure to be back at Fort Drum once again, especially for such good news and a happy occasion. I am the 56th governor, as you heard from the commanding general. I also bring you regards from the 52nd governor of the state of New York, a gentleman named Mario Cuomo, who I was with last night and has a long history and a love for Fort Drum. So I bring you his good wishes also. To Major General Townsend, he's done an extraordinary job, as we all know, during his tenure. He's even more extraordinary when you get to see him in Afghanistan and his knowledge of the area and the knowledge of the troops and the respect that the troops have for him. Please join me in giving the Major General a round of applause for his good service. He is not a native New Yorker, as you can tell from that slight southern accent that he brings. I'm sure I bring a very pronounced northern accent to the commanding general. But his courage, his stamina, his patriotism, we're hereby making you an honorary New Yorker, commanding general. So congratulations. I also want to thank the commanding general for his hospitality when I was in Afghanistan. I was afforded the VIP treatment, they told me. I had my own sleeping container as a shipping container, as a sleeping habitat, which was very generous and very nice. I learned that a shipping container is always a shipping container. No matter how many home sweet home signs you hang in it, it is still a shipping container. And I was told those were the VIP accommodations, so I'm glad I didn't see the others. But I thank the commanding general for his hospitality. To the Secretary of the Army, Secretary John McHugh, he is a great American. He is also a great New Yorker. He is a hometown boy from Watertown, New York, served in the New York State Legislature, served in the United States Congress, has done a phenomenal job as the Secretary of the Army, but never forgot where he came from. And he came from not only New York State, he came from the North Country. And Fort Drum is, in many ways, the engine that runs the North Country. And the Secretary never forgot that either, never forgot the good work of of Fort Drum. We thank him not only for his service to the nation, and not only for his service to the state, but for his service to the North Country. Let's give him a round of applause. We're also joined by Colonel Hessey, who now runs the State Division of Veterans Affairs. He was stationed at Fort Drum for 10 years. He did 4 deployments, and he's doing great service now in making sure this nation honors its obligation to its veterans. It's a pleasure to be with him. Our new Congresswoman-elect, Elise Stefanik, pleasure to be with you, Congresswoman-elect. We congratulate you. I look forward to working with you. Senator Patty Ritchie, Assemblywoman Addie Russell, and Assemblyman Ken Blankenbush, and Mayor Jeffrey Graham. Let's give them a round of applause and thank them for their stewardship. To the 10th Mountain Division, I say welcome home, another job well done. You have honored your extraordinary legacy, and it is an extraordinary legacy to be sure. First deployment was to fight fascism in Italy, and they've been deployed in every part of the world. Even before Iraq and Afghanistan, the 10th Mountain Division was the most deployed force in the Army. Iraq, Operation Desert Storm, Florida in the United States to fight Hurricane Andrew, Haiti, Somalia, Bosnia, Kosovo. You have done it all, from defending this nation to peacekeeping, to helping at times of natural disaster, there's nothing that you haven't stepped up and honored the call of duty. And as we welcome you home, it's only fitting to remember the 106 members who are not with us, who did not return from Afghanistan, but made the greatest sacrifice and paid the highest price. We hope and pray that this nation honors its obligation to their families, and we hope and pray that their families have peace on this day. The work you've done in Afghanistan makes us all proud. For those family members who have not actually visited Afghanistan, the pictures don't do it justice. It is much worse in reality than the pictures would make it look. It is much more inhospitable, and the conditions are much, much worse. What I remember most from that trip was a stopover that we did at the Ramstein Air Force Hospital. And we visited some of the patients who were in the hospital, who were in Afghanistan and were being treated in the hospital. And I remember one young man, both legs basically shattered. And he was explaining the operation and the plates and the screws. It sounded like a lesson in engineering, what they had to do to put his legs back together. And as he was finishing the story, he started to tear up. And he started to cry as he was going through the story. And I thought to myself, he's crying because of the pain he must feel from what he went through. He's crying because of the pain he feels being away from his family, the pain he feels being away from his home. He stopped at one point, and I said, "What is the greatest pain you feel?" And he said, "The greatest pain is that I'm not with my comrades, I'm not with my unit. I left them alone in Afghanistan." And I thought to myself, what a beautiful testament. You can talk about loyalty, you can talk about allegiance, you can talk about courage. But here's a young man in a hospital bed, his two legs shattered, he's just recuperating, and he's saying, I should still be there. What a beautiful testament, not only to the Army, but to the 10th Mountain Division. That is the kind of loyalty that you have developed. That is the kind of loyalty that your leadership deserves. I would like to say it's over, that welcome home, and I'm sure there are going to be no other conflicts, but that's not true. As the state that experienced 9/11, that in many ways started this whole episode and crusade against terrorism, when we started, it was about Al-Qaeda, and it was about getting Al-Qaeda, and that was going to end the job. But what we've learned the hard way while we were fighting Al-Qaeda, which we did accomplish, the terrorism has actually metastasized. And now it's not just Al-Qaeda, it's Hezbollah, it's Hamas, it's Al-Shabaab, it's ISIS, it's Boko Haram. It seems like it's spreading everywhere. And that is going to be the future for us. But it's also the past for us. Thomas Jefferson once said, "The price of liberty is eternal vigilance." And that is the lesson that we are once again learning as we see terrorism spread. It won't be the last time, because our charge is the charge of eternal vigilance. And the battle will continue, and it will be waged as long as there are families and soldiers with the courage and bravery and patriotism of the 10th Mountain Division, who believe that this country is a unique force for freedom and democracy around the world. And that force of freedom can never be denied. Welcome home, and thank you for having me. As a token of our appreciation, I would ask the Commanding General to join me at the podium. This plaque will commemorate our appreciation, the appreciation of the citizens of the state of New York for all your good work, for what you do for our state and our nation. It says, presented to the men and women of the 10th Mountain Division by Governor Andrew M. Cuomo on behalf of a grateful people of the state of New York, December 8, 2014. Congratulations. Thank you very much.
It's a heavy one.
It is.
Yep. Governor, thanks for those remarks and also for the plaque from the people of the state of New York for our division and post. Secretary John McHugh is also a devoted and lifelong public servant. He was born right here in Watertown, and he started his public service career working for the city. He served 4 terms as a New York State Senator before his election to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1992. During his 9 terms in the House, he earned a reputation as a staunch advocate for soldiers and their families. As a Secretary of the Army, he has worked tirelessly to ensure our Army has the necessary soldiers and equipment with the right facilities, training, and quality of life necessary to carry out our nation's wartime missions, while at the same time properly caring for those at home. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our final guest speaker, the 21st Secretary of the Army, the Honorable John McHugh.
It is good to be home. Isn't it good to be home? They know it is. I want to begin by, if I may, adding my words of both appreciation and welcome to the distinguished guests that you've heard the names of here previously. Certainly, the governor of the great state of New York, Governor Cuomo, Congresswoman-elect Stefanik, Assemblywoman Russell, Assemblyman Blankenbush, also, of course, Senator Patty Ritchie, Colonel Hessey, Tony Keating, my good friend and my civilian aide. Indeed, to just about everybody in the first 4 or 5 rows here that I have seen coming in, the folks who I know from personal experience have worked for so many years, indeed so many decades, in support of this great facility, in support of these incredible men and women who don the uniform of the United States Army and put that 10th Mountain Division patch on their arm. You honor these soldiers, as you always have, by your persistence, presence, and your attendance here. Governor, sir, particularly. Going back to your time in our association as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, where you were so supportive of initiatives in the North Country, to this very moment, in your second term now as the governor of the great state of New York, we deeply appreciate your appreciation and your support, as well as the state of New York's, for this amazing installation, for our community in which it calls home, and of course our soldiers and their families. And I know, given that support that you bring to work each and every day, our partnership in the days and years ahead will only continue to grow, and we're deeply appreciative of that. To General Milley, to Major General Townsend, Command Sergeant Major Lewis, all the extraordinary men and women of the 10th Mountain Division who proudly stand before us, thank you personally for the invitation to be here. I guess a second time is a charm, Steve, in this particular instance, and although the temperature may call for snow, it's holding off, so I appreciate the break in the weather, but most importantly, to have this enormous privilege to share this very important moment with all of you. As is obvious now, we're here to celebrate the coming home of the colors of the 10th Mountain Division to the United States and, of course, to the North Country. At the same time, of course, we embrace many of our own back into our fold, happily, I think it bears noting, just in time for the holidays. So, as has been said, welcome home, not just to the division headquarters, not just to the mule skinners, but indeed to Team Drum. An amazing job stretching, yes, over deployments of the last 18 months, but really a mission that has stretched now for well over a decade. And I want to just tell you how proud I was to have the honor and the opportunity to hook the Somalia streamer onto your colors. Yours is the first across the United States Army who has been allowed to display that streamer, and I think that it is altogether fitting given that historic, and I would say unfortunately sometimes overlooked mission, which began for this division and began for America some 22 years ago. And it was a great thrill for me to have the chance to approve that streamer, and as I would also note, it's particularly appropriate that we celebrate, that we recognize in the presentation of those streamers our Army's long tradition of service and sacrifice, and do it right here, where so much of that history has been written. This is really a time to reflect on what has really been a generational journey, a journey of over 20 years that has taken us through 2 wars, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan, and now a second in Iraq. But it has taken us to a place where we have the opportunity for a new beginning for both of those nations. And because of the courage, because of the resiliency of our military, our international partners, partnership within our own government, and in Afghanistan, your journey home has helped make our world and indeed our nation safer. And because of men and women like each and every one of you, men and women of the 10th Mountain Division, the people of Afghanistan have a precious gift. It's the gift of a chance for freedom, a chance to stand on their own, a chance for a better tomorrow. And there is no way any soldier can provide a greater gift than that. And it's also a time to reflect on what has been achieved over these many years, what we have learned, and how each and every one of you made a difference. And it's a time, too, as has been noted by the governor, to remember those that we have lost. We must always remember brave men and heroic soldiers like Fort Drum's Sergeant Major Ward L.B. Turner, who just mere days ago lost his life in an IED attack in Kabul. We must remember him, his wife, his 5 precious children, his mother Wanda. And I pledge you this: together we will make sure that Sergeant Major Turner's sacrifice is long told and always, always remembered. And in addition to the souls that we grieve, we must remember as well those for whom the wounds of war remain. And the governor spoke about it. And he posed the exact correct question: will we care for those soldiers? And knowing what I have experienced over the last 5 years, I can tell you this: our promise is we will care for you. Your nation will care for you. You and your families deserve the better future that your sacrifices have helped secure. Now, as some of you may guess, as Secretary of the Army, I have many opportunities to take part in a variety of ceremonies and events across our Army, and each has really tremendous meaning to me, to the Army family. And of course, no matter where I go, no matter with whom I visit, I'm not expected to have favorites. I have the honor of being the secretary for all of the Army. But I would note, since this is the only division post where I can readily drive from my home, you're free to guess where my heart truly lies. Like so many in this great audience, I've grown up with this installation. From my birth, when it was known as Pine Camp, to now, and its time as only one of 10 maneuver bases in our Army and a true power projection platform. And over the years, I have been honored and indeed blessed to get to know so many who served and lived here. And like Fort Drum, the 10th Mountain Division has a long and storied legacy, a legacy that each of you today continues to nurture and continues to grow. And as well known in this place, the 10th Mountain Division was the last headquarters to deploy in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, which seems especially fitting given that it was the 10th that represented the 1st Division headquarters to deploy to that theater more than a dozen years ago. And as the governor noted, it is particularly fitting, too, that the final chapter in a war first declared on the soil of New York State is now being written by a unit housed and trained within New York State's borders. Indeed, the story of this long war cannot be fully told without including your story, the story of the 10th Mountain Division, whose valor and courage produced great victories and whose losses and sacrifices will always sadden our hearts. The 10th Mountain's fearlessness and devotion to brothers in arms during OEF are forever memorialized in your 2 Medal of Honor winners, Staff Sergeant Jared Monty and Captain Will Swenson. As I said, yours is a proud heritage, but it's also an equally weighty legacy. But it is a legacy that I know you continue to build upon each and every day. It is a legacy that will endure far beyond our time in service. But you are building upon what you have brought to reality. Simply put, the creation of the greatest land force the world has ever known. You have done your job. You have done it extraordinarily well. No one could ask a single thing of you in addition. I am so proud to have the ability to work alongside each and every one of you, the men and women who ask nothing more than, how can I serve? How can I make a difference? God bless you. Welcome home. Happy holidays. Climb to glory.